Right, hello and welcome to the Dundee Soul podcast. This week I'm still on my own again, but fuck that because it doesn't really matter. Today I'm joined by a musical legend. How do I even introduce this guy? I mean, the guy's been on tour with the Happy Mondays, Ian Brown, Kasabian, Paul Weller, Oasis, Liam Gallagher. I mean, do you need to hear any more? Massive fan of the guy, and I can't wait to get started on this. So introducing Manchester's own Jonny Brown. How's it going,
All
bro?
right, man. All right, good.
It's good to see you, mate. You're looking good. Looking
Cheers,
fresh.
Man. Yeah.
So we'll go at the start. What we'll do, always go at the start, and we'll take you. So what year were you born?
1986.
1986. So what was it like coming up in Manchester in the 90s?
Growing up, I lived in Oldham, which is in Greater Manchester.
Yeah.
Growing up as a kid, very early age, I was into music. That was my thing straight away. You know, before even football. Do you know what I mean?
So what was the first things you were sort of hearing?
The first stuff that I heard was the Beatles. My dad got me the Beatles Blue album. I think for like my third birthday or something like that. But he had all the other records in his vinyl. So my thing was to stick the headphones in. Do you know the old? It was an old Marantz system, top quality system. You know, with a vinyl player and double tape deck and all that.
Yeah, old school.
And I just used to plug the headphones in and get lost in music.
Seriously?
From a very early age, yeah. So there was the Beatles, more the late Beatles when I was a kid.
Yeah, like the Blue albums, the later
that was
music,
the later stuff, yeah. Which then switched me on to, you know, Magical Mystery Tour, Sgt. Pepper's. Them the two albums, you know, and the Blue album.
The experimental albums.
Bob Marley. Bob Marley was one of my favourites, and Fleetwood Mac, Led Zeppelin.
Is this all when you're 3-year-old?
3, 4, 5, around. Yeah, I'd say the Beatles were first and Bob Marley. Then as time went on, I'd say when I was about 5, then I started delving into the rockier stuff.
Right, yeah.
Kind of that got the juices flowing. You know what I mean? Like Black Sabbath. I used to like Deep Purple. I mean, I still do. I don't listen to them much, but you know, it was just one of them things. You know what I mean? It was just music was around the house, and
for me, like, all the bands you just named, like I listened to every single one of them. But it was when I got into like high school. You know what I mean? Maybe when like I sort of adapted more. Like I was playing football at a young age. But when you started to like, especially the Beatles, the Blue album, I think that was one of the first ones I heard as well. The Blue and the Red album, you know what I mean? You get handed that, and that's the collective hit sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's your starter pack to the Beatles.
Your starter pack.
Yeah. What was it? What was Manchester schools like? Because I have no clue.
School for me in the 90s, it wasn't like it is today. Anyway, I can tell you that.
Yeah, therefore.
What I remember was just loads of playing out, man. Like school, I can't remember it that well. But I remember after school, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
getting lost in the woods, you know what I mean? Playing armies, football, all them games you play when you were a kid, you know, TIG and
yeah,
and all that
just
stuff.
having fun, man.
Yeah, having fun, building. I mean, the bunch of kids I grew up with, we was quite mad. Like, I think we was building bombs at the age of 10, 11, do you know what I mean? And setting fucking, you know, blowing up grit bins and stuff like that.
Yeah, just causing havoc.
Causing havoc, but do you know what I mean? Light-hearted havoc, I'd say.
Yeah, having fun.
But yeah, the schools, man, I remember there wasn't many kids into music. I was kind of the weirdo at school for that reason.
Yeah, I get that, man, yeah.
Which was a cool thing, you know what I mean? It wasn't like an issue. Then, I'd say towards the end of primary school then, that's when Oasis got big and all that stuff kicked off in the 90s with Blur and all that.
Yeah, the whole Britpop scene.
Which, you know, obviously there'd been great music going on throughout the 90s and, you know, before, but that was kind of when it really, you know, the mainstream...
Yeah, like broke through.
It was dominated by great guitar bands and Britpop bands, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it was like that was in the chart. So as a young kid then, do you know what I mean?
That's what you were hearing.
Yeah, so that's when like you started seeing the divisions within, you know, the kids who like Blur, they hung around together.
Yeah.
We was in the Oasis gang. Even though I didn't mind Blur, you know, I had a few Blur albums, great band, but we was Oasis.
That divide always, like, sort of, you can't like the two bands, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Blur do make some good music. I like a lot, like some Blur songs, but I'm obviously more sworn to Oasis.
Yeah, I mean, Oasis hit the spot for me, do you know what I mean? And
you're a Manchester lad as well, you know what?
Yeah, I mean, not even just because of that, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
But being a musician, obviously, I appreciated Blur, but I was in the Oasis gang. Then all the girls like Spice Girls, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you got the odd madhead who was like, I just like Prodigy, do you know what I mean? I was like, right, you can chill with us, you know what I mean?
The guy with the green mohawk, man.
Yeah. So it was kind of towards the end of primary school that, you know, the charts, as they were at the time, became cool, do you know what I mean? There was a lot of great bands about. I mean, not forgetting all the other great bands through the 90s and through that period of time, do you know what I mean? And I mean, you had Primal Scream knocking about, and, you know, I need to say any more.
You know what? Great Manchester bands that didn't even get, like, mentioned as much now. Remember, like, what was it, Northside?
What
a band they were.
Yeah, big up to Dermo. So yeah, I didn't hear Northside till later, that were in my teens.
Yeah,
late, you know, 18, 19, that's when I kind of started doing my musical research and history and meeting people, do you know what I mean? And Dermo used to come and watch my first band, The Children, man. We used to do gigs in Manchester like every other weekend. So Dermo, the singer from Northside, he'd turn up, and he was like a bit of a mentor for me at the time. Do you know what I mean? I used to look up to him, and he used to give me a few pointers and stuff like that. But yeah, so when I left primary school, then secondary school, another kettle of fish. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, obviously rap was big in them days as well.
Yeah, it was massive,
it's big now, but, you know, you had all the 90s rap.
The G Sound, Dr. Dre, and
all that stuff. Which, do you know, I love rap music, especially from that era.
Yeah,
at the time, it wasn't. You know what I mean? It wasn't what I was
when you were
big
listening,
into.
yeah.
You know, but I appreciated it. But obviously, then you got the different groups, and then there was kind of kids into rave, like hardcore, something to happy hardcore, something to techno, trance. There's like clubs. Some people know what I'm on about. Uprising, that was in Sheffield, I think, and there was a club called North, and some of the kids from school used to go to them clubs. I went out on a bit of a mission with them once, so I kind of delved into the rave scene towards the end of secondary school. Stopped playing the guitar, do you know what I mean? Started doing the E's and all that, and that was sort of what we did. And
the scene, man.
Yeah. But there wasn't many musicians. Like, I don't recall there being too many musicians through school. I remember at dinner time getting barred from this little like cabin called the Perry Rooms, I think it was called, and it had a drum kit in it, and so it had some guitar amps. So we'd bring the electric guitar in, and we'd start smashing out fucking "Don't Look Back in Anger" at dinner time. Ocean Colour Scene songs we used to play.
I think it's interesting you say that, because same situation where I was in Dundee, obviously. See, before The View, I was never considered cool to play an instrument. You know what I mean? I wasn't.
Yeah. I remember at school, there was a period of time where I was kind of a bit ashamed of playing the guitar, and I stopped bringing it into school at a point. And it was kind of like, you know, people used to
hanging.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing, and there weren't many people to vibe off within it. Do you know what I mean? That's like kind of why I delved. Well, I just naturally found my way into the rave thing. Do you know what I mean? But like, yeah,
well,
you're
I'm
right.
glad you picked up the guitar again, mate, because you know I'm a massive fan of you. A massive fan. Even like the start, like, I want to hear, how did you pick up the guitar? Like, what inspires you to pick that guitar up?
There's a picture of me playing the guitar, right? I don't know where it is. It might have burnt because we did have a fire at some point and lost a lot of photos, but I do recall seeing it pre the fire of me playing the guitar at 2 years old with my cock. Yeah. Thank God it's burnt, you know what I mean? It's gone. It's history. But that was the first time I started picking the guitar up and I was interested in it at that early age, you know. Started to play it, I'd say 8, 9 years old.
Starting to enjoy it.
Yeah, I got a Beatles songbook, Oasis songbook, learnt some chords.
So what was the first song that I actually learned?
I mean, a lot of people will relate to this. It was Smoke on the Water, Deep Purple, just because, like, you know, being a young kid.
It's a rock and roll, like.
It's a rock and roll classic. Being a kid, it's easy to play. Do you know what I mean? You hear that riff and it's like, right, you know it. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is it that easy to play? Yeah. And then, do you know what I mean? I remember teaching a few of my mates that we had some guitar lessons in primary school. And like, I think about 4 or 5 of us did these lessons with this woman used to come in. And it was classical. It was teaching us. Obviously, that at the time in schools, they weren't going to teach you pop music in the 90s. It was like, right, if you want to do guitar lessons, you got to play some classical stuff, you know what I mean? Well, every time she went out the room, I'd show these kids and go, like, they play Smoke on the Water. Like, yeah. And then she'd come back in the room and all any of these guys would do is play Smoke on the Water. She was like, right, your band, no more guitar lessons for you. Corrupts in the place, you know. So Smoke on the Water. But then after that, yeah, obviously learn all the songs off What's the Story, Morning Glory.
What an album.
Yeah. And then the end of the year, talent show, primary school. I didn't have the balls to sing then. You know, I just got up and I think I played Hey Now. And I played Don't Look Back in Anger on an electric guitar, really fucking loud. And I won it. Yeah. I won the...
What age were you at this talent show?
It was the end of primary school, so, what is it, 11 years old, yeah.
Yeah, that's a young age to be winning these sort of things.
Yeah, I mean, well, there wasn't that much competition going on, really. You know what I mean? A few ballet dancers. I think Rick actually, out of Wheel, the original bass player, did a robot impression.
Robot impression.
Yeah. So, do you know what I mean? It was an easy win.
That's it. That'll lead us on to my next question, because what I was always told is that the Wheel where you all grew up on the same street. Is that true?
Where did you hear that?
I don't have a clue.
I possibly might have said it at some point. I don't know.
I got told the 3 originally lived on the same street, and I always thought that's cool as fuck.
Not so much the same street, but very near to each other. Literally like 5 minutes from each other.
Was you like mates growing up, basically?
Yeah. So me and Rick, we was really good mates, best mates growing up all through primary school. Adam, the drummer.
He's a great drummer, by the way.
Brilliant drummer. He actually came back and joined the band later down the line.
I seen photos of you together, yeah.
Yeah.
He had longer hair at the time, did he?
Yeah. But Adam was a bit older than us, and I noticed him at school when I was talking about playing in the Perry room on the drum kits at dinner time and all that. He used to come in and smash the drums out. So I kind of like, right, I remember him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And years later, then you know what I mean, we formed a band.
Let's take it to that. Like, how did Twisted Wheel start?
I mean, without going, I could go into a massive story here. We'd be here all night.
Go into a massive story, man. Like I said, Jay,
it's nothing like complete out the ordinary. You know what I mean? It was kind of a coincidence. So Adam, drummer, I used to follow him home from secondary school. He used to walk the same way as me. Obviously, he lived near us. So, and he used to say, "Will you be in a band with me?" But I was just a kid. He was just like, "Fuck off." You know what I mean? And then a few years after leaving school, I went round to his house somehow. I think through smoking pot or something like that. We just ended up together.
Just ended up there.
And he had this garage. He'd done it up like a bit of a rehearsal place. Do you know what I mean? Where it had sofas in, and he kind of lived in it. It was like separated from his house. So it was his spot. It was a spot. Do you know what I mean? And it was the coolest spot that I ever went in at that age. Obviously, he was a bit older than me and had a different circle of friends. And
because playing in a band at this age, like, people never understand how hard it is to get all the boys together and be able to like smash it out.
Yeah, so I was speaking to some kid today. He's a top guitarist, and he's struggling to find musicians to connect with. You know what I mean? And that sort of that's the reality of it. Sometimes it's not that easy, but
leading to that question is why I thought like getting told that you all lived on that same street. What I thought was so cool. You know what I mean? Because like 3 boys obviously got together and just like had this mad dream to go and like start a band and take over.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. You know what? It was very fairy tale like how it all came together. But yeah, I was just chilling with Adam and I thought, this guy's cool, and he was playing on his drums and I'd get on the guitar and we'd just mess about. And then we had a bit of a reggae band first. It was into like dub
Is
reggae.
this the band The Children?
No. So while that was going on, I was in a college, in Tameside College, doing a music course. Like I said before, I've been in school, there wasn't many musicians. All my mates went to Oldham College. And I went to do a music course. So I went to Leeds Music Festival, the first festival I went to see The Prodigy. That was like kind of the highlight. And
what a band.
So while we was there, that's when I connected with Clarky, the drummer in Wheel. We bumped into each other in the reggae tent. He had his head in a subwoofer, and so did I. And then kind of like in the midst of the madness, noticed he was like, "Whoa, you're that kid from school." I was like, "Yeah, man." Like, "Yeah, how you do? Have you got any drugs?" And then that was how we became close mates. You know what I mean? We stuck together for the rest of the weekend. Off it, yeah, man. When we get back, we'll start a band. You know what I mean?
Fucking right, man.
Dreams and all that. When I got back from there, it was kind of reality. Everyone was going to college. I ain't got on any courses and stuff like that. And my dad was putting pressure on, like, "What are you going to do? You ain't got anything lined up. You got no work. You know what I mean? You're gonna be in the gutter in 2 years, Do you know what I mean?
What age are you at this point, sorry, mate?
16, so I've just come out of school.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I've just got my GCSEs and all that. So I got on a music course at Tameside College, and I went there, and that's when my life kind of changed, because I met a group of lads who was all older than me. They was all in the second year on this music course, and they was all cool as fuck, man. They all used to wear cool trainers, and at the time, people was kicking about in flares. I don't know if flares came back a bit.
Yeah, the baggy
one. Yeah, and I
remember the Leeds band, The Music.
Yeah, The Music.
Yeah, Rob Harvey, he was always in flares. I remember that look sort of at that time, dancing about and stuff.
Yeah. It was all that. It was right at bang on at that time.
Yeah, but that era,
yeah. So I was just like, wow, this is where I'm meant to be with these guys, you know what I mean? And they seen me, you know. My name was Johnny the Boy, so I was like kind of like them, but like the kid version. Just come out of school and all that. And they took me under the wing. It was like, you know, so they took me out to clubs in Manchester, and that was my first taste of like going out. And obviously with them, I would get in the clubs and get up to all sorts that other 16-year-olds probably weren't doing at the time. Do you know what I mean? But that aside, the music, do you know what I mean? It was like they all had like top knowledge on music. Do you know what I mean? I knew about stuff, like I said, I've been into stuff from being a kid. But they switched me on to like 60s bands that I'd never heard of, like the Sonics and the 13th Floor Elevators, psychedelic stuff, the Birds.
Yeah.
And obviously because I was kind of pally with them, they used to let me jam with them and stuff like that. So we used to, there was two bands between them. There was two bands. There was the band called The Wires, and then there was a band called The Children. And Ben, the singer from The Children, he wasn't actually there for the first like 3 weeks of the course, right? But all I heard was Ben. Wait till you meet Ben. Ben this, Ben that. So I'm like, can't wait to meet this Ben guy because he sounds nuts. And lo and behold, Ben turns up. Well, you know, I remember the tutor saying to him, you know, why are you 3 weeks late, Ben? And I can't remember his excuse. It was something mad like moved house and forgot college had started up again. You know what I mean? Anyway, me and him became really close.
You just clicked with him straight away.
Yeah, do you know what? Funny, they actually had us on it. Part of the course obviously was like, you know, it's a music course, so, you know, potentially people in that course are going to be in front of cameras at some point.
Yeah.
So they put a camera on us in this class and said, right, you've got to talk about any subject at the top of your head for 3 minutes or something like that. And it was like the longest 3 minutes ever. Do you know what I mean? And around that time, it was mushroom season.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Know what that means.
Yeah. Round about this time of year, funny enough.
When the boys go picking.
Yeah. And I just that was what was in my head. That's what I was doing at the time. So I just spoke about mushrooms and
listening to the birds at this time as well.
Yeah, and listening to the birds. Yeah, I mean, Jimi Hendrix was getting played a lot. Janis Joplin, the Birds, the 13th Floor Elevators, and not psychedelic stuff.
Heavy into the 60s stuff.
Yeah, at that time. And Ben loved it. I think that's why he was late for college 3 weeks, because he'd been on the mushies as well. It was kind of like, yeah, do you know what I mean? Connection. So he's like, do you want to join a band? I said, too right, that's what I'm here for. I wasn't really interested in the course. I just wanted to find some musicians, you know what I mean?
To get started.
So I said, I ain't got my guitar today, because he was saying, we're going practice tonight. Got this jam room and all that down the road in Ashton. And I said, I ain't got my guitar. And he said, no, you're not on guitar, you're on bass. So for me at the time, it's not what I wanted to hear, because I was a guitarist. But do you know what I mean? It was like, I weighed it up. I'm like, well, it's a band. It's a band, innit? So I ain't got a bass. He said, don't worry about that. We'll just nick the college one. So we just nicked the college bass when the teacher had gone home. Do you know what I mean? We went back in, took the bass, put it in the case. And I went down nervous, because I'm thinking, what? I've not met the guys who was in the children. There was only Ben on my music course. I've not met the other guys. And they was like, you know, established musicians in their own right. And I turn up, this kid, do you know what I mean? And I did feel a little bit like, it was like kind of like, who the fuck's this, Ben? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I got on the bass. I struggled like fuck. I've never played a bass before, just play guitar. So, I mean, it's obviously you can work stuff out.
Yeah, it's written notes and stuff, but if you're not, you've just been handed that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was on the spot.
Yeah.
And, do you know, like, it's like, do you know, I was thrown in at the deep end there. Do you know what I mean? And it gave me that, I had that fire in my belly.
You just wanted to do it as well.
To prove myself, and I wanted to be part of it. And that overweighed the actual skills on the bass.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Just getting stuck
and then that's a lesson that I learned then. It's like, you know, the desire and the hunger and the fire will overshadow the skill sometimes. And
that's a great way to describe it, man. Yeah, definitely.
Then you pick the skills up as you go along, which is what I did, you know, and I got on the bass and we went doing these gigs and it was fucking nuts, man. Like,
well, you know what? That's a good way to describe it, because even when you start, right, first you got to learn an instrument. Then you've got to play it in front of people that you've never played in front of before. And then when you just get good at that, then you've got to consider going out and playing actually a gig in front of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's scary sometimes.
Yeah. It was scary in a way.
Like, because when you do it,
more exciting. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
You, once you get good, you want to do it sort of hand. But I remember the butterfly feelings when I was doing it and stuff. I was like, especially the bigger the crowd, and I was like, if you had to play well, you would get that nervous feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You being the front man as well, especially. I was in the back, so it was never that bad for me. Like the front, everybody is looking at the front man. Do you ever get these sort of like the nerves or like the butterflies?
Yeah, of course I do. I don't know whether it nerves, because I don't know. It's something. It's something,
definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I could easily compare it with, or put it in the same category as adrenaline. Do you know when?
Definitely.
You know when you're doing something really naughty when you're a little kid, or do you know, like say making the bombs in the grip, blowing the grip bins up. That feeling, do you know, like there.
See what the way it is, mate. The way I look at you, you were a proper front man. First time I ever seen you, right? Like I said, we got a tour spot with the View, and we came in when you were sound checking, right? And I even remember the song. It was "She's a Weapon," and you were sitting sound checking that. And from the get-go, I was like, who the fuck is that? You know what I mean? When you hear that sound, especially from a three-piece, like I said to you, that loud rock and roll sound, I was proper in awe of it. And especially when, like, later down the line, when you get to know the band, you get to know the songs, and you actually found out how good you were. You know what I mean? It was just like how do you do that? How did you get from, like, where you were to that? It's just incredible to me. Because I've seen you play many a time, and, like, one time that comes to my head, right, is you were playing in the Doghouse, and it was the tune "We Are Us," and you know the solo in that song. I remember you turning around at Adam Clark, right, but just before the drum solo kicks in, and you were like, no, don't start, because you were that much in the moment. You know what I mean? You were like, we need to keep this going. Yeah, and I was like, that's fucking rock and roll, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There was a moment.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. And you knew that, and you were like, no, keep it going.
Yeah, did you know that's how we rolled? Not every gig because some gigs you aren't able to do that because you've got a set, you know, if you like a support slot, you've got half an hour. So you can't start doing fucking drum solos and shit like that. You just bang the tunes out. When it's an headline gig, the way that we played as musicians was like, you know, like we played in the practice room where we just randomly change something and see what happened. Feeling it. And I've always been about feeling it. Like I say, I was never really a super technical musician, nor was a singer. You know, I mean, I really struggled to it notes when we first started.
I see you as a singer, man. That's what I said. I seen you as a front man, mate.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what happened. Like I was saying about the children moving on. We started
going back to the original point. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I don't want to go around the houses with it, but yeah, that I ended up on guitar anyway. So it kind of like, it's like I got pushed onto the bass, which is not what I intended. But as the band went on, I kind of got the hang of that. Then I started writing songs. Then the singer wanted to sing the songs I was writing. Then some of the guys left in the band. So there was a free space. I'll have that. I got on the guitar.
Right, sweet.
Then I started doing backing vocals because I'd wrote the songs and I kind of had a good feel for what I needed to do. You know
how they were and how they're meant to sound, basically.
Yeah. And it was like a progression, like that natural progression. Then the gigs were getting bigger. We're selling out like 500 capacities in Manchester and stuff like that. And at the time, being like 18, 19, that was
massive.
Fucking massive, man.
Yeah, that's massive, man. King Tut's only holds like 350.
Yeah. I mean, we've done some gigs out of town, but it was mainly in Manchester. We had a good following, great set of like kids who used to come and watch us, and everyone was fucking off it. But it was a good vibe. Anyone there? And there was I'll tell you what, there was some people at them children gigs who were radio DJs at the time, still are now. I mean, Clint Boone, he used to be a big fan of the children. And they actually seen like the energy and the madness that was going on. And it was compared to like the older days, you know what I mean? It was like, wow, something's happening again in Manchester. And you know what I mean? We was like the centre point of something for a short space of time. Like we said before, you know, them gigs in them days, you know, no one had the phones out.
Yeah.
It was kind of coming towards the end of
this is pre-MySpace as well, is it?
Well, this was, MySpace was about, but it kind of wasn't the be-all and end-all, do you know what I mean? MySpace was there, you could see what gigs were going on, and you could listen to different bands on it.
Like the four tunes.
And you could chat to a few mates and whatever, do you know what I mean? But it wasn't like the focal point of the music scene, like obviously social media is massive today. So the gigs, you know, everyone was in the moment.
Yeah, definitely.
Like there is videos on YouTube of the children at Academy 3 Manchester. Seriously recommend to watch them, because then you'll get an idea of what I've been talking about. Yeah. If you put in YouTube the children Manchester Academy 3, it should come up. Anyway,
check that out.
As time went on, things started to not work out. And I'd been writing songs, so it was like, right, I'm gonna leave this band now and do something.
Do your own thing, yeah.
I'm gonna be a singer.
You're gonna pick yourself at the front,
I never thought I'm gonna be a singer. If I'm gonna sing, right, I'd literally do one fucking rehearsal, right, and my voice would be gone for a week. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how to use my. I just used to go for it and just wreck my voice. And
proper rock and roll sort of.
Yeah, going for it, like punked up, mad. You know what I mean? Few cans in, do you know what I mean? And
screaming down the mic, basically.
Screaming, yeah, all that stuff. But something happened, do you know what I mean? Clarky, the drummer, who spoke about that reggae band had kind of run its course a few years before, so we hadn't done anything together. So I was like, do you want to drum in this new band that I'm doing? It's going to be a 3-piece. So I'm going to sing, you're going to play drums, and then Rick. He was actually in the children towards the last.
Was Rick in the children as well? Yeah,
he was, because when I went onto the guitar, we needed a bass player, obviously.
Yeah,
and Rick had been learning the bass. What a very talented bassist that he was.
Yeah, he's a brilliant bass player.
You know, unique to.
You always remember that white hair as well. That's what I always remember straight off the bat, man.
Yeah. Very unique looking, and as a player, amazing. He played with his fingers, you know. I don't think it did his fingers any good playing She's a Weapon, especially when I was on one and I played it twice as fast as the record at gigs. He used to suffer with a lot of blisters, poor lad, right? But Rick was, he was, you know, the three of us we all brought something, and it kind of...
What a sound the three yous made.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, what a sound, man. You sounded bigger than some 5 pieces, man. You had this energy as well. Like, I remember I used to let people hear it back in the day, and they always, the word Irish Rebel always used to come up a lot. I don't know why.
What word?
Irish Rebel.
Irish Rebel.
Yeah, I had like that enthusiasm to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that says it all, because we was listening to a lot of the Pogues at the time, you know, the Undertones, Stiff Little Fingers, Irish punk bands,
Irish
you know.
punk bands, yeah.
And obviously, I've grown up throughout the years listening to the Dubliners. A lot of, you know, there's a lot of days go by where I'll just listen to the Dubliners for the day, you know, and I
find that really funny, because that is what like a lot of people used to say. Because I used to like I was always like, you need to hear this fucking band. You need to hear them. You know what I mean? And, like, a lot of people would always hear back, it's like Irish Rebel, what? And I'm like, no, it's not. But that's what they would say. Yeah,
that's. Do you know what I mean? I've not heard that myself. I do know that Noel Gallagher, when he watched us on Channel Manchester, which is unfortunately not there anymore, but there was a channel called Channel Manchester, Channel M. That's where Noel watched us, which kind of got us the support slots with Oasis. And then I can't remember, I think it was on Radio XFM, Radio X, and Clint Boone was interviewing Noel. And we heard it by chance. We actually was driving, I think we was driving back from the studio, and we had the radio on, and it was Noel, and he was talking about, we knew we had the support slot with Oasis, and Clint asked Noel, and Noel said, yeah, this band called Twisted Wheel are going to support us.
They're
like the Pogues, and I can't remember what he might have said, the Buzzcocks, the Pogues and the Buzzcocks. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we was just, I mean, do you know what I mean?
What was that like hearing Noel Gallagher say that?
That's what I'm saying. 21 years old.
21. What was that like?
It was, do you know, it's mad, innit? Because, like I said, from being in primary school, I knew Oasis inside out, all the songs. I mean, I forgot more than what most people know. With like song, I used to know chords for everything at one time. I don't know what happened, that something went on where I lost a lot of memory. And I sometimes can't play songs that I've known, you know, I knew how to play, like Beatles tunes. I pick the guitar up and I go, wow, the chords for that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I learned all those Oasis songs, and I had posters in my room, and I went to see them. I went to G-Mex, and I went to Reebok Stadium, Bolton Wanderers Stadium. Where else did I see him? Somewhere else. My dad took me to watch Oasis. So, to next thing be on tour with them. You know what I mean? A massive highlight of me, you know, in my youth.
There was a video that Liam got asked at the time. I remember it. He was sitting with a bucket hat on, and he said the bands that you're into just now, and even what you said with Neil, no, Liam said this 3-piece band from Manchester, Twisted Wheel. I think this was about the first when the album was coming out. That was both of them plugging you at the same time. You know what I mean? That's incredible.
It is.
They're the. What else can you say about Oasis with the UK music scene for the past 30 years?
Yeah. Just top quality band, aren't they? And one of the best. And, you know, we got the chance to support them. So, I mean, it's been absolutely mind-blowing, you know, from what I can remember of it, which I do remember more of that than I do some of the other tours.
Did you think you took that in more? Like, because of what it was?
Yeah, I mean, at first, it was just like, I don't even think I was even in a position to have a beer on the first gig. I didn't know what to do with myself. Do you know what I mean? It was just on the stage. Sheffield, it was.
Is this a stadium?
That was a big arena, yeah.
Yeah, because they're a proper stadium band, they're they?
Yeah. And then kind of got into it by Birmingham. But I remember Birmingham being some of them gigs were quite hard for us because a lot of the fans, they wanted to see Oasis.
Yeah.
And us being a new band who, you know, weren't that known at the time, it got a bit of stick off a few people in the crowd, do you know what I mean? But some of my reactions towards the people who give us shit, Liam loved it. Liam come up to me after gigs, he's like, that was fucking well funny what you said to that guy. And you know what I mean? I can't remember what I said. But, it was mad. It was great. And then we did Eaton Park. All that stuff just happened really quick. like I say, we started this band. I was like doing one rehearsal. And
yeah, sure, because we've got sort of
Yeah,
caught in the
no,
moment
it's
there.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the,
no,
but we're,
well-
the start of the band, man. Yeah. So you've got Adam, and you've got Rick together.
Yeah, and then we just start rehearsing once I start kind of got the hang of using singing vocal cords and not doing myself in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We started rehearsing every day, and we used to practice every day.
That's how you have to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, every day. If we were all together every day, one of us would be with the other, going through something. We did it. You know what I mean? We put the hours in.
Did you write all the songs?
I wrote all the songs. I used to write the songs and then meet up with one of the others. Sometimes it'd be Rick, sometimes it'd be Adam, and we'd go through them, and then they'd put their part to it. You know what I mean? Adam would usually start with like an Irish rebel kind of drum beat. You know what I mean? As you can hear in the first album and the demos and stuff like that.
There's so many songs on that first album, mate, that I always say it is one of the most underrated debut albums of all time.
Yeah.
Of all time. Because it's just tune after tune after tune after tune. The get us if I was wrong, right? You start with Lucy in the Castle, then it's She's a Weapon, then it's We Are Us, then it's fucking, right, now I've lost. What was after that again? One Night in the Streets? No.
Yeah, One Night in the Street.
Like,
What is it?
Strive. It was just
Yeah.
tune after the Bouncing Bomb as well. I remember I used to sit and watch that like out my nut back about 2009 on, it was on Virgin Tunes at the time. There was a video for that. The
Right.
Bouncing Bomb. Like, we could get that on.
There was a video for it.
I don't know what the video was, but there was a video for it, mate, yeah. On Virgin Music.
That's the mad thing, you know, like a lot of things went on. In the midst of the madness, kind of took my eye off the ball.
Yeah.
And then decisions were made to do certain things that I remember I'd end up at places I'm like, I don't remember agreeing to this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, you know what I mean? Drink and drugs kind of as much as it enhanced some of the experience.
It blinded
In
some
a
of it
way,
as well.
it blinded some of it. And I'm not ashamed to admit that. Obviously, you know what I mean? It's, for me,
You were a young lad at this time as well, weren't you?
yeah, I was like early 20s. Do you know what I mean? I loved rock and roll, and next thing I was touring with these bands, and we weren't just touring with Oasis. You know what I mean? We toured with like
You said the Happy
before,
Mondays to start with.
that was our first support slot at GMEX. GMEX, which is a great venue in Manchester, and it was Happy Mondays support, and there was a band called the Sunshine Underground from Leeds.
What a band.
Yeah, so it was a cool lineup. You know what I mean?
So it was you as the Sunshine Underground and the Happy Mondays.
And the Happy Mondays, man. Yeah,
Hey, man.
brilliant. That was some gig, that. And Clint Boone DJ'd, I think, throughout in between the bands. Because I remember him watching us on stage, and then he commented it later down the line saying that we blew him away. It was like electric performance. And you know, that was kind of,
That was Clint Boone that said that, yeah.
yeah. He was blown away by the performance on stage. You know, the three of us, like you said before, the sound and
Like you said, mate, you were a front man as well. Like,
Yeah.
To get a good front man is a very, very hard thing to find.
Yeah.
Very hard thing to find, I think. I think it's even harder for me to admit that I think somebody's cool, if you know what I mean. I remember back in the day, I thought you were cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Cool as fuck, mate. What you were doing, the tunes you were playing, it was just, there was nothing like it, I didn't really think.
yeah,
No, that rock and roll, hard, gritty sound, no.
yeah.
Definitely know that what I heard at the time.
Do you know, at the time, there was like a period of time just before we sort of came out as a band, and you had like the White Stripes and the Hives.
Mm-hmm.
You know them American bands, the Strokes.
The Strokes, yeah.
Obviously Arctic Monkeys came a bit after them. But it was that.
And
We used to go to this club in Oldham called the Castle. That was like the hub of our, you know, early teens. Like the Castle was
Is that where Lucy in the Castle came from?
That's where Lucy in the Castle came from. I mean, it came from a lot of things, but obviously that was the pinnacle.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It was a great club. Steve, who used to do the sound there, he used to run the place. He used to love doing the sound, especially for the children, but he used to do the sound for the bands, and he used to DJ. And he opened my ears to loads of different stuff. Like The Fall, you know, great Manchester band, legend stuff, Marky Smith. And we all used to meet there every weekend, Friday. I mean, you could go there with like, you know, you only had 20 quid, you'd go there and you would have bought best night ever on 20 quid and get home,
Yeah.
It was like a quid for a bottle of Rolling Rock or Bacardi Breezer, you know what I mean? We'd just get off it. Obviously, the substances were in free flow, and it was a great time. A lot of bands started from going to that club. It's not so much recognised, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was a totally different time to compare it now, was it?
Yeah.
Totally different.
It was different, yeah.
Cultural, inspiring as well, because there was a lot happening, especially musically. Compare it now. The way I see it is how many people nowadays write a song that actually captures you, and you think you feel what that person was trying to describe. You know what I mean? Even a tune that would change your life, sort of. Something like that, something that you actually feel there. I've not heard anything like that for a while, I don't think.
No.
I think that's just the way the music is just now, because it's all just pop and shite. That's just
Do you know what a lot of people say to me? I sometimes, I don't know where down the line it happened, but started underestimating what we was. Do you know what I mean? What Twisted Wheel meant to people.
Mm.
Maybe because we didn't get the mainstream success that I wouldn't say was promised to us, but kind of.
I thought you deserved that. Big time.
Signing with a major record label at the time. I mean, we had a few offers there. Could have signed with Heavenly Records, which that's where I wanted to sign. But also Columbia, who we signed with, great label, historic.
Mm-hmm.
Some massive bands have been on Columbia. And then it kind of didn't take off as big as what was predicted or whatever. You know what I mean? And I think maybe through the excess lifestyle that I was living, kind of lost everything. You know what I mean? Everything got a bit blurred on where. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well,
and then I stopped appreciating what we was. With this band who come out, 3-piece band, it was raw as fuck. Do you know what I mean? Inspired by great punk bands and, do you know what I mean? All the old stuff, but kind of with a modern twist. And people loved it. And we'd go and support, and our heroes, Oasis, let us support them. Paul Weller. I went on stage with Paul Weller and sung That's Entertainment. He invited me on stage
to
sing.
That's crazy, man. I mean, that's crazy, by the way.
Yeah. So not stuff, and it was all going really well. And then I started messing about, taking mad drugs, and then I kind of lost my confidence. You know what I mean? Because things started going wrong, and I ended up in some bad situations. People started distancing themselves from me. Do you know what I mean? Adam left the band. Rick left the band after Adam. So I was getting people to come in. God bless them. Do you know what I mean? Owen come in, and Stevie Evans, and then we'd done the second album then. But by that point, I kind of...
Was your head sort of messed at this point?
Yeah, I'd kind of lost my way, do you know what I mean? So I was still writing songs and throwing things together, and that second album in the studio was... That first album, we went to LA. It was we only went to LA because not to work... We worked with Dave Sardy. He'd done the last 2 Oasis albums, amongst loads of other stuff, you know what I mean? Top producer. We'd never heard of him, to be honest. And we had this list of producers and studios, and it was someone in Wales and someone in Scotland and someone in Birmingham, and then it was LA. It was we'll go there. Yeah, we'll go and work with who's that? Dave Sardy. Yeah. Dave, he's a good producer, him, isn't he? Yeah. We're all fucking I'll go to LA, man.
How long was in LA doing the album? So I get this out. This is one of my favourite albums of all time. I'm not just saying this because the guys in front of us. I've said this to many people. Everybody will think of this. Twisted Wheel's debut album was one of my favourite albums of all time, by far. You've even seen it. How many videos have I put it in all my stuff on social media and stuff? Yeah. Man, it's rock and roll grit. Sorry, I'm going to shut up and stop.
No, it's cool. I'm loving it. I'm loving it, man.
It's true,
it's good to hear, and you're not the only one. The amount of young people come up to me. We started a band because of Wheel. Do you know what I mean? That first album and the demo before that.
I remember all the bands off the spin when I used to gig. I was at Where's Strutter.
Where's Strutter?
Yeah, that was we used to gig with them a lot.
Yeah. I mean, 2 of the guys out of there. I mean, band called Cabbage now.
Yeah, I've heard this. Yeah,
And then the other guy in Cabbage, the other singer, was our guitar tech. So he kind of, I mean, he didn't really know what he was doing, and we, you know, like how it sort of was with us.
He's got a bit of a
It
grip
was a
back
mate,
guy, I remember.
yeah. And we brought Joe along and just showed him how to do stuff as we went along. And then he couldn't play guitar when he first met us. And then he kind of picked it up through a few tours, and then went on to do Cabbage. You know what I mean? Quite an established.
There's a photo of me and him, Shooty, and somebody at a festival in England years ago, and I couldn't believe he went on to be like, he's a singer of that Cabbage now, is he? Or so I've heard. Yeah.
There's two singers. Yeah.
There's two.
I've
never actually listened to the band. I've got told they're doing quite well.
Yeah. They've done 2 albums. Yeah, but anyway, back to the point. That first album was in LA for 6 weeks, and I think we went back then for another 4 or something. I can't remember exactly, but that was an experience, you know. And we'd done it good, you know what I say. We was just these young lads, and we'd never been there before. Do you know what I mean? We did the work in the studio and we grafted, but we went out and we got stuck into the maybe sometimes the seedier sides of LA, but that was just a mint experience. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, right. But you know what I always wanted to ask you? When I used to listen to we'll call them B-sides or whatever, before the album came out, and I remember She's a Weapon had the wee guitar solo in it. And I remember when I got the album that he's dropped out of it, and I was like, I used to love that solo.
Yeah, the salt. Yeah.
I used to go like that.
Yeah.
I used to love that. I remember being gutted that I was out of the album. See when you're doing stuff like that, it's like, do you have control of what that sounds like, or does you just take the tunes to the studio and then basically this guy goes, I think this will sound better like this?
Yeah, there's a bit of both. You know, I can't remember exactly how that got taken out from the demo to the record version. I know there's three versions of She's a Weapon. There's a demo that was on the Reload Aim Fire, first ever thing we ever done that kind of got us, made us a buzz band, which then got us a record deal. You know, I think we only printed 1,000 of them. There was a 500 with proper covers on, and there was 500 with like some cheap printed covers off, but there was only 1,000. I think I've got one. I didn't have any, but someone, Brad, God bless him, you know what I mean? He gave me a copy of my own CD. But yeah, there was a Weapon on that. Then we did another Weapon with a producer called Stan, which was on a vinyl, which had the Columbia logo on the cover, and it had a song called Big Issue for the B-side.
Love that
now,
tune.
I know that I have got one of them vinyls somewhere. I'm not sure where it is. And that's a completely different recording again. I think that has got the guitar riff in it. This third one, which is the album version,
which sounds mega bad,
was taken out. Now, I think it maybe went on the lines of like, you know, we need to try and cut these songs down to make them just, you know what I mean? And that was one of the ones that should take this out.
Bad.
And we were young lads. Yeah, we were young lads, so it's kind of like, right, maybe we'll go with it. You know what I mean? I wish I'd have left it in now.
I loved it. I loved it, man. It's just, honestly, like I said, it's just something I always wanted to ask you, man.
Yeah.
Just like, I love the album version as well. It sounds mega, man. She's a Weapon. If you've never heard She's a Weapon, go and listen to it, because it's an absolute fucking tune. But yeah, right, we're going back. You're in LA for 6 weeks.
We'd done LA. We worked hard every day in the week. We went to the studio. I think we used to get there about 11, and then we'd leave about 11 at night. I'd have liked to stay there through the night, but it was kind of the setup that the American guys had going on. It was kind of like, right, you get here at 11. Once 11 at night's gone, you can go do what you want. You know what I mean? Make sure you're here for the morning.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just lived it up in LA for a good few weeks.
What age were you at this point, bro?
22, 23.
22, so you're 22-year-old and you've been flown to LA to go and do your album, man.
Yeah, do you know what else is funny? Gary Aspin gave us a pair of Gazelles, and I never wore them till we went to LA. I put them on in the morning before we set off. It was only when I got to the airport in LA, when we landed, I realised that one of them was rubbing on my feet. Turns out one was a size smaller than the other. Yeah, so I never wore them for the rest of the trip because obviously, there was one was bigger than the other, and then I brought them back for some reason.
That's Adidas quality control all over the place. Yeah, that was.
They did both say 9.5 inside.
Oh, so it was just a factory fault.
Yeah.
Did Gary give you the Londons that have been going on about there?
Yeah, so
they came from him.
Yeah, round that time, obviously. Was it before LA? I don't know, but we went to see Gary quite a few times, and this was like 2008, 9, and he gave us a pair of the Londons. Yeah, you mentioned before.
Yeah, 2008. You would have got them.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I always say the City series. People always say like it starts on the terraces. As you've been watching these podcasts, people will be trying to find out that we are trying to explain that isn't always the case. I was speaking to John earlier on, and I said that my take on it is that music has been a massive influence on the City series, that look and where it came from. And one of the only people I've ever really seen as a frontman or actually wearing the City series at that time was you. The London 2008, the black soft dimple tongue, Johnny's in it. There's pictures all over the place with it. Gary shared that a few times. I've shared that as well. And as I've said a few times after that, you've got maybe like Richard Ashcroft and the S&S Stockholm. And then it takes off. You know what I mean? It fit the look, as I've always said. And I remember that, those photos, mate. I remember that poster, and I remember seeing you in the Londons, and that's you're a coat. I can't remember what the coat was at the time as well. But you remember, I'm playing in a band, I'm getting this vibe. I'm seeing these posters, these pictures. There's you in the Londons, pair of jeans, cool coat. That's the look. You know what I mean? That's what I want to look like. And that's what it took.
I love that coat. I don't know where that coat went.
Yeah, it was a cool coat, man. They were cool photos.
Yeah,
I love that whole red.
Lawrence Watson was the photographer. Look him up, man. Yeah, we went all around. I think it was a day after a gig because I remember being fucking really hungover, and we had to stop at the shop obviously to get a few beers to get back in the zone because we were. You know, when you're really fucking hungover, you don't want to get your photo taken, really. I think it was a winter's day, if I recall, and we drove all over. I don't know what at that time. You know, if I went and did that now, I'd probably have my bearings of where I was. But it was kind of just all exciting, just driving around. You know what I mean?
For me at that time, that was the look, and this is where it all came from. At this time, I'm like 20.
Yeah, we got some good stuff at the time. I mean, I used to buy half of the money that we got. You know, I would personally go and spend on clothes. Yeah. But,
you need to look cool. That's part of the whole thing, is it?
Yeah. It was a shop in Manchester, which is very well known now, called Oipoloi.
Yeah, very well.
It was in a different. It was just on the street around the corner. It was on Tib Street originally, and we used to go in there. I used to go in there sometimes, and I'd come out. You know what I mean? 800, 900 quid down, and that was before I'd ever bought a Stone Island coat or something, a coat that's expensive, and you know what I mean. It was just on shirts and shoes and stuff like that. But Gary used to sort us out. Adidas. We used to go down to his office in London, and he'd have a few people who worked there. Do you know what I mean? And try stuff on us, and yeah, that looks good, and have what you want out of there, and it was. I did take that for granted at the time a bit. I'm not gonna lie. I was.
You were young at the time.
Yeah,
as well,
I was young, and he was in the moment. Yeah, which is cool in itself, but yeah, some great stuff. And then we'd come back to Manchester with it. Literally, we'd drive back with a car, brim, shoe boxes, and coats everywhere, stuffed in the glove box, and the little car be on its bearings. You know what I mean? On the motorway, and then. Later down the line, then, there'd be parties going on because I got a flat. Clark had his own house, and sometimes you get on the bit mad, and then I'd be like, hey, do you want these shoes? You know what I mean? You can have them. Do you know what I mean? Because someone would be like, I like them. Do you know what? You can have them. And in the morning, you'd be like, fucking no way, I've just give them away. You know what I mean? So that did happen. But yeah, we had some cool stuff, and I love them photos. And you know what? Actually, that photo, I don't know if that exact photo you're talking about, but that photo shoot is in one of the Adidas books.
It is. What book is that? You're right. What book is that in?
I can't remember which book it is. I wish I had a copy.
You've just thinking someone in my mind. You're right. It fucking isn't someone.
Yeah.
I can't remember. You know what? We'll think.
I think on the photo that's in the Adidas book, I'm throwing a drink at the camera. So there's kind of it's tea's in there. And I'm kind of walking out of a cafe. Yeah.
I don't know.
But that was cool, do you know what I mean? At the time, I was like, wow, fucking that. Because, amongst the other greats who was in that book, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
It was an honour to be there,
And still be there.
Yeah.
What book is that?
We'll find out.
I've seen that, mate. Yeah, I know exactly what you're on about because I've seen that from a collector before.
Yeah.
But yeah, right. Round about that time. So we'll go on about. So what happened to like sort of derail the original wheel?
Like I mentioned before, I was pretty nuts, me. I've always been nuts, you know what I mean? But I kind of got a bit to the scary level where I was just doing mad stuff. So started using.
Did you have anybody like a manager or anybody like?
Yeah, we had a great manager,
just nobody could reel you in at the time.
We had a great manager in London, but the managers can't protect you from that stuff, and I was a loose cannon anyway. Do you know what I mean? And getting played on the radio and doing TV performances and stuff like that, and kind of start attracting you can attract the wrong kinds of people. I was a little bit, green to some things, you know what I mean, and kind of got in the wrong crowd at certain times, and through that I got introduced to another class of drugs, you know what I mean, at the darker side of drugs. I'm not afraid to admit it, do you know what I mean? It's just that's what happened, that's my story, and that really played a massive part in affecting my creativity, my personality, my behaviours were through the roof, you know what I mean? Doing mad stuff. Because people do mad stuff when they're on drugs anyway.
Yeah.
But when you start doing that next level,
it takes
it's a lot of sneaking about going on as well, because it's like you don't want them to find out, and you're juggling all these lies about, you know what I mean? So it all came undone. I mean, Adam won't mind me saying he was kind of dabbling with it. But, I think it scared him a bit, and he left. Rick carried on with us, and then it was just one of them. I was just a nightmare to work with. Then we done the second album, and then my drug use was through the roof by then. Like full on like train spotting kind of stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. But still kind of getting away with it a little bit.
You're still producing it,
I was still managing to write a song, and somehow, do you know what I mean? I managed to pull it out of the bag last minute, but that's what I mean. It was all on the back of a fag packet, and do you know what I mean?
Sometimes you didn't give it the proper effort you should have.
Nah, you know what I mean? If I hadn't have been consumed by all that, I'd have been on fire. Regardless whether we were still with the record label, because the record label washed their hands with us. I mean, they bought us a load of music equipment to record with for the second album, you know what I mean? Get some demos together. I think some of it got stolen. I pawned some of it. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just disrespectful and stupid, goofy stuff, you know what I mean?
End up costing you at the time, basically.
Yeah, and I did, my whole world was kind of crumbling around me, but you're in it. You're oblivious. You're in the addiction.
Yeah.
So you nothing. You don't care about anything else. Oh, that's gone wrong. These have fucked you off. Oh, fuck him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a fucking knobhead anyway. Do you know what I mean? Even though that person had probably helped us.
Yeah.
Massively. Do you know what I mean? And there was a few knobheads about who, you know what I mean? But yeah. And then it just kind of went downhill from there. Second album came out, did all right. We ended up with a new management company. We toured. 2 new guys in the band. You know what I mean? Great musicians.
Was it the same for you about that time? Or was it just like you were just getting through it, basically?
I have to say, I can't remember it that well. I remember having times when I was trying to get off stuff, and our new manager went out of his way to help me get off stuff. I went to detox centres, you know what I mean?
Because you were a talent, man. You're a serious talent. Especially like, if you were hot at this time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is like the creative years, basically.
I think the gigs, as far as the gigs went, we were still doing the same kind of gigs. But
Still
I think,
filling out places. And,
yeah, we was filling out places, but I think we was expecting and expected to be doing the next level.
yeah. But your head wasn't there to take it to
My
the next
head had
level.
gone. So, you know, decision making was all wrong and mad. Songwriting was on the back burner. Do you know what I mean? Even turning up for the gig, compass mentis. You know what I mean? I started turning up for gigs and being out of it. Sometimes playing really bad. You know what I mean? And upsetting people who paid to go and watch us. You know what I mean? Which I'd never do that now. But at that time, and I let myself down more than anything. You know what I mean?
I should admit that, man.
Yeah.
So what she's saying now, Jonny Brown is totally teetotal, and living life to the fullest. But how did you get out of that dark hole then?
Oh man, that went on for a long time. So years and years. Glimmers of hope. Sorted myself out. Do you know what I mean? Do some acoustic gigs. Get the money in. Back on it. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to get better. I didn't know how to get off it. I wanted to, but I didn't know how to stay away from it. And then, you know, as soon as something in my life that I didn't like or some kind of feeling come up, it'd be like that, you know, like people do, don't they? They go to the drink and the drugs. So I was just fully like that, you know, could not stop. And then eventually I got the help that I needed, you know. But before that, no, I did actually get myself clean, and we made the third album. Got a new lineup.
So what year was this?
But it's just mad, innit? Talking about it. I mean,
Yeah,
I imagine people just would get bored of this. Me just talking about it. Maybe they won't. Maybe they don't. I don't know.
I'm interested as fuck. This is like, this is what I want to hear, man. This is like the Jonny Brown story. Because the first album came out in 2009, did it?
Yeah. Yeah, the first one came out in 2009. The second one was 2012. Then that band dispersed. We had another lineup. We did a load of gigs. We had a kind of comeback tour. Went pretty well. And that's when we became a 4-piece. We had like another guitar. I remember done this gig at Kendall Carlin. It's like infamous. Don't know around the country, but definitely in the Northwest, like Twisted Wheels comeback gig, the secret gig at Kendall Carlin when there was kids crowd surfing on mattresses and sofas, and it was nuts, man. It was in the house party tent, so obviously this tent was full of, you know what I mean,
party
furniture, yeah, which all got tossed in the air and thrown about and smashed to bits. It was a good gig, that.
That was hyped up as your first gig back, basically.
Yeah, that was the first, one of them, and then yeah, that band, I scared everyone off again with me stuff. You know what I mean? Just being mad. You forget when you're in that kind of addiction that to people who aren't or have never seen that stuff before, it scares the shit in the living daylight out of them. Do you know what I mean? No one really deserves to have to go through that. You know, being with someone who's like that, especially like young lads in a band and stuff who just want to make music. It was just a mess. But that's how it was. Do you know what I mean? And I can't change any of that.
That was a path you were led down, man. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, did I choose to go down that path? I don't think I weighed up what would happen. I didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't fast forward the tape and see later down the line where I'd end up. But maybe I did make some mad decisions, you know what I mean? But that aside, went into mad depression after that. Like, realised that reality kicked in, that I was kind of fucked, you know what I mean? The band's fucking, the band doesn't matter now. It's life or death, you know what I mean? You're going to die. Homeless. Living, sometimes sleeping rough. Sometimes staying at people's houses, sofa surfing, lived in a pub for a bit, which was like literally a madhouse, you know. That was just constant drinking.
Mm-hmm. Not the place you should have been, basically.
No. But I did write some songs there, like Johnny Guitar, which was a comeback EP.
Yeah, I remember that.
Got a number one in the physical single charts. I'd like to get that in there because I am proud of that. You know, it was a good tune. And
yeah, definitely.
I wrote that while I was literally on my ass with nothing, and then that led me to start writing again. I wrote some more tunes and I got the band back together, but I got new guys joined. That's the last lineup. We had with Harry and Ben.
It brings me to this, right? One of the lines, one of the things that I've always loved about Twisted Wheel is the lines that you've wrote, the lyrics, because like I can relate to a lot of it, and especially just listening to what you said there. The line that stuck with me all the time, especially when I was having hard times in my life, was from We Are Us. You've got to get lost so you can get found. And I just thought, like, it was so simple, but it was fucking genius at the same time. You know what I mean? And hard times in my life, I've listened to that Twisted Wheel album, I've belted it out, and I've needed to hear that. You know what I mean? So I truly believe sometimes, like, even like for me with the trainers and all this stuff, I had to hit like hard times so I could fucking pick myself up and go out and do something else.
Course,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that people like, you have hard times, but you look fucking, mate, you look shit hot now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Fresh, clean, cool.
Yeah. Like you hit the nail on the head. You know, it's how you get out of it. You know what I mean? And everyone has some point in their life where they're rock bottom. I had a few rock bottoms. You know what I mean? Some people fix the issue, don't they, and get on with the stuff. I had to learn the hard way. But like you say, you know, music got me through a lot of things. Sometimes my own music, you know, in times when I was in the mood, I'd listen to stuff and it pulled me back out of it. Right? Do you know what I mean? I'm born to make music. Nothing's going to stop me. No shitty drug. Do you know what I mean? He's going to
ruin your life.
Ruin my life. And I kind of had that, I've always had that fire there. You know what I mean? Fire to win and get through. And yeah, it got a bit lost. You know what I mean? But back, made that album. And I loved making that album. Made it in Manchester. Travelled down every day. Just went in the studio. And some of the songs were wrote. Some of the songs we kind of jammed out and became songs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how the process goes sometimes.
So it was a bit different rather than we had to have all the songs because we weren't on a label or anything like that. It wasn't like we had to have all the songs ready. All right, this is what we've got. And all that. It was kind of just like we did our own thing. And it was a nice way to work. Relaxed. And, you know, we worked with Dean, who I'm working with now, my solo thing. He did that EP as well, the Johnny Guitar EP. And yeah, we've done that third album. And then we got all these gigs with Liam.
Yeah, well, this is what I mean from what you're hearing just there. You were going about one of your darkest hours and you pulled yourself out of it, and then fucking, there you go, one thing leads to another. And then you're on tour with Liam Gallagher, who we were on about earlier on. Like that's as big as you can really get in this country just now, is it?
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's no other gig that I would have rather had at that time.
Mate, there's no bigger gig.
You know, we ended up doing loads. We did loads, and then
you're around Europe.
We went to Europe, and yeah, I mean,
you done the tour in the UK first one, mate. And a couple of gigs in the UK.
We did quite a few. Yeah, Finsbury Park. I mean, there was a lot of bands on that. We was on there. Lancashire Cricket Ground.
I was actually at Finsbury Park.
Was you at Finsbury?
I was at Finsbury Park because it was an absolute nightmare to get a drink that day. I remember that.
Yeah, it was boiling hot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Beautiful day, yeah. Great gig as well. We was on there was two stages. There was a smaller stage, obviously the main stage. And we was on the smaller stage. And just before we went on, that's the day, just before we went on, we found out that Johnny Guitar, the comeback EP, had got number one. And then we walked on stage and like literally the whole area had filled up. People had walked over to come and watch us, and it was like a really good crowd there. And it was like, do you know what I mean? It was a good moment. Yeah, I was like, yes, we're back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're on our way to being where we're meant to be. And then we done, like I say, we done the album, did the tour with Liam.
And then fucking COVID hit.
And then got back from that. The third album came out, did fairly well in its own right. Do you know what I mean? It didn't have much money behind it. It wasn't on a label. We released it ourselves. And it did pretty good. And then COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, mate, it killed your momentum, man.
Yeah.
I was watching it come back. I was loving to see it. I was like, Johnny's on his fucking way back up, and then boom, COVID killed. It killed a lot of people's fucking momentum, was it?
Yeah. I know, it's one of them. It's not like it was just us. Everyone.
Yeah, it was the whole
everyone
world,
suffered in some way or another. The music industry, especially. You know, God bless the souls. People lost their lives through it. You know, who potentially wouldn't have done.
Yeah.
You know. So.
How did you find COVID? Were you on your own, or were you like isolated?
Yeah, like that first lockdown was murders for me. I really struggled because I'd more or less come back off tour. Or we'd come back off tour and we'd been doing stuff. We'd been doing music and active, fairly active, and a lot of drinking. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of drinking on the tour, and then when I got back, carried on, and then the third album came out. Then it was the tour got announced. I was about to get announced, and it got cancelled. Then it was lockdown, stuck in. It was all a bit weird at first, wasn't it? Because it was really, really fucking.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
Bizarre, wasn't it? Yeah, just one of them. Like, what do you do when you've just been touring around Europe, supporting Liam? You know what I mean, in arenas and all that.
The next thing you're stuck in your bedroom,
and then you're stuck in your bedroom. Yeah, and my girlfriend who I lived with at the time, she was at work. I was left in the house
to your own devices.
To my own devices. Back to the old behaviours. You know what I mean? It's one of them. What can I say? I was just bored. You know what I mean? I just was bored and a bit deflated because we was on the roll.
Like you say, you just came off tour with Liam Gallagher around Europe.
Yeah.
Then you're stuck in your bedroom for 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, where I was living as well. I mean, I don't drive myself. You know what I mean? It was like I was disconnected from everyone. Do you know what I mean? And I probably down to what me drinking and taking stuff. Do you know what I mean? But just kind of lost touch with everyone. Stopped going on social media. I mean, that can be a good thing sometimes, but do you know what I mean? Not even. I was just waiting to my own.
Just stay in the loop sometimes. It's important.
Yeah, and you know what? That would have been a great time to go right. Get the guitar out. Right, like you never wrote before. It doesn't always work like that. And there was times when I was gonna like get the guitar out, and then I'd just go shop and get a bottle of wine. Do you know what I mean? And then before I knew it, the guitar was put to one side, and it was party. You know what I mean? That led me to having, I'd say, my worst rock bottom.
Really?
Yeah. So after all that time of fighting addiction, getting myself clean, then going on tour, do you know what I mean? Doing an album. I mean, like I say, clean. I wasn't using drugs, having a drink. You know what I mean? But I mean, that can be as dangerous, same in a sense. So,
I want to see, man.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see.
The wheel is. Someone said a word to me last night. Simon, actually, our tour manager, was going to a gig. I've been doing acoustic gigs, so I'm playing the wheel songs at the gigs. It's just me on my own. And I mean, it's a nice experience for me just to go to a gig, get on the stage, play the songs, have a sing along with the crowd, and then just get off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Rather than getting sucked up into all the after parties and going here, and do you know what I mean? It's nice, and it's what I need right now. You know, I want to keep doing music, but other guys in the bands, they're doing bits of their own stuff. So for now, do you know what I mean? I've got solo projects, not me acoustic stuff. Jonny Brown Limited. I put a song out about 2 weeks ago. It's had a great reception. completely different music, but there's a lot more to come of that. So I'm kind of going to focus on that for the foreseeable, you know what I mean? But that is not saying that will not be back, because we will.
Well, I can't wait to see the wheel back, man. Seriously, can't wait to see the wheel back. Just want to ask you like a few questions about it, because you've done stuff that some people can only dream about, man. Like for a start, like some bands, people who like playing bands, they never even get to go on a tour. Like, what was your favourite tour you can remember doing?
You know what? My favourite tour that we did, or one of them, was with The View.
Seriously,
Yeah, because I can't remember how many gigs we did, but there was at least 15 gigs, maybe more, and it was like we was all together. So we were supporting them on a UK tour, but we was kind of all
having a laugh
all together all the time. Do you know what I mean? And we you know what I mean? Some friendships were made out of that tour, and I remember when the tour finished, Kyle kind of kidnapped me. Or I kidnapped myself, but me and Kyle just carried on with them because I think they had more gigs. So I just went with Kyle and we bought ukuleles, and I think we did everyone else's heads in the band. But Kyle was insisting that me and him went on before The View came on and played Lucy the Castle on ukuleles. And I remember I had this big tin of these that we'd just been dipping into it for days, and it was still going. Do you know what I mean? It was just nuts. It was absolutely fucking nuts. But yeah, I think Kieran was calling us Last of the Shadow Muppets.
After the last Shadow Puppet.
Yeah. But top memories, you know what I mean? It was like that was pure rock and roll for me. I thought it was good. You know what I mean? There was a few sketchy gigs throughout that tour, but there was some banging gigs, and we appreciated them as they appreciated us. You know what I mean? It was like a mutual respect. Oasis in Europe. We toured with Oasis more or less up to. We stopped touring with them after a European tour, and they went and did some other stuff. And then we was joining back up again. There was us, Kasabian, the Kooks, and a band from Italy, the Hacienda. I still speak to a couple of the guys from them. And that's when Oasis split up the day before. They'd split up. So when we got there,
on that tour, you were on that tour when they split up.
Like I said, we toured with them. Then we went and did some of our own gigs. They did some gigs, and then we was joining back on, not on tour with them, but doing a gig in Milan.
Yeah.
And they split up the night before. So where I think it was Paris. They was at.
That was Paris.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
So. Yeah, bad shit news, man. Do you know what I mean? It was like, it was all going well. They had the album out and was touring it, and there was, you know, obviously playing. It was just, we'd gone around Europe. But yeah, so I won't go into Oasis splitting up, but we went around Europe with Oasis just before the split up. So, you know, what a time.
What a time to be there, man.
Yeah.
What a time to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah. And that was when we actually went out more with the band, you know what I mean?
You got any like sort of Liam and Noel stories? Just like maybe like having a drink with them, or
yeah, I mean, there was many a drinks. I remember going into the dressing room after, I think it was Amsterdam, because we had 2 nights in Amsterdam. We'd smashed our dressing room up on the first night like idiots. I don't know how it happened. Can't remember it much. I think someone put my head through a glass fridge door at one point, and you know, fruit had been thrown everywhere, and fucking no beer got spilt, but lots of fucking
mayhem.
Yeah, and we got in loads of shit for that. We really upset the Dutch guys and all that. Was really disappointed in us, and
You still had another night to play as well.
Yeah, so we'd done it back to front really, and so the second night we done the gig, and then it was kind of if we did feel like we was in the we'd done something wrong. Do you know what I mean? Because all these staff at this thing was like, you know what I mean? They smashed our dressing room up bad. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, we ended up going out the next night, and me and Liam had a bottle of whiskey in the dressing room, and then we all got in this taxi, and it was just us lot and Liam, this other guy called Steve, and we was all punching the roof in a taxi singing "We Are the Mods." I don't know what it was, a quadrophenia moment, do you know what I mean? But everyone was parked up and modded up. I mean, we was like, you know, seen to some people as a kind of mod band, you know what I mean? And I think Liam was having a bit of a mod.
Twisted Wheel's one of the notorious mod clubs, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a Northern Soul club, yeah. Motown, Northern Soul, yeah.
Is that where you take the name from? Yeah.
The name was sprung around before I called the band it. I remember my mate used to say that he was conceived in the toilets. And Paul Weller had a song as well, mentioned Twisted Wheel, so I think we went with the Paul Weller story at first, but it was a combination. It was just a name. It was like an historic club. Yeah, I mean, but I presume that Weller's lyrics was taken from the club. So do you know what I mean?
Yeah, therefore.
But the fact that my mate used to believe he was conceived in the toilets, kind of when that came up, it was like, yeah, let's call the band that. And then it just stuck, you know. And we are a Twisted Wheel, you know what I mean? There's no better name for that band, really.
Definitely, man, yeah.
I mean, I've never actually had anyone in my life be upset. You know, someone maybe from back in the day who went to the club. I've never had anyone come up to me and say, you shouldn't have took that name, or do you know anything like that? It's just always
you're keeping it going.
Yeah,
you know
I mean? Yeah, of course.
The only reason I know that club existed was because of you.
Yeah,
I heard about that obviously
there you
later
go.
on.
There you go. And that goes for a lot of people. So
keeping the legacy going.
I mean, and if we'd have been like a Motown sounding band, it would have been a bit cheesy, wouldn't it? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So the fact we was not that kind of band, you know, it worked. But yeah, can't remember what we were saying.
We're going on a bit.
So we've all punching the roof in there. We are the mods. We are the mods. Do you know what I mean? Lads pissed up having it. It was great. You know, I remember that. I can. Do you know what I mean? I can remember that crystal clear. Then we got to the club. I can't remember what it was. Something on the lines that like the club had been booked out, so it was kind of for us, for Oasis, for us, the roadies, the crew. And there's a few like dodgy Dutch fellas knocking about, and few ladies. You know what I mean? And it was a free bar, so that obviously got hammered. I remember Liam was kicking. I can't remember how it came about, but it was some chairs got thrown off a balcony, and then I was in there. Whether I'd started it or Liam did it, I don't know. But then it was kind of egging each other on to throw more furniture off this balcony into the canal, and it got a bit out of hand, and there was some trouble. I can't remember it that well. Obviously, it was later on in the night. I remember Liam going, "Go on, kick it." You know what I mean? And I was thinking, probably kicked enough furniture into the canal by now, but it's Liam Gallagher telling me to kick the table, so I just fucking booted it, you know what I mean? And it was mad. And then the next day, I remember walking into the catering, and Noel was pissed off with me because he said the guy with a white jacket on had run up $1,000 on the bar bill, drinking port and eating cheese and onion crisps. And I had a white coat on, so I don't know whether he was taking the piss, but it's probably true, you know what I mean? That was a bit of a mad rock and roll night.
You know,
Yeah.
£1,000 worth of like bar balls.
Yeah.
What was it? You said that you got to go on stage with Weller and play that as entertainment. What was that like?
Again, do you know, like, mind blowing? Wow, how's this happened? Do you know what I mean? Because Weller was a fan of the Children. Clint Boone played the Children demo to Weller when he interviewed him on a radio station, on Oldham's radio station, was the Revolution. And Weller invited us to his house to record, his studio. It's near his house in, I forget the area, somewhere down south, maybe Suffolk or somewhere. So we went down and recorded our second demo EP thing. So when we started Twisted Wheel, obviously we was in touch with Weller.
Yeah, you just told them what you were doing.
And Weller used to send a couple of his albums. He sent them to me before they come out. I've got them at my dad's house. You know what I mean? Signed by Weller. Hope you enjoy the record. You know what I mean? It was like, wow, that's some cool shit.
Man, yeah.
Yeah. And then we done about 40, 50 gigs with Weller. And then we went to Silverstone Racetrack. I think something to do with the Mini. You know, the new Minis?
Yeah.
Something to do with that. And then we did That's Entertainment. So he said, do you want to get and do it on stage? We'd already covered it and recorded it. And that was used on a Mini advert in Germany.
Really?
Yeah. Don't quote me, it might have been other places. I can't remember. We went to Germany one day, flew over there and recorded That's Entertainment and did a video, and it was used on a Mini advert. So obviously this gig at the Silverstone Racetrack was something to do with Mini anyway. Yeah, we were on stage with Weller and mad. It's on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah, check it out, man.
And all the crowd singing.
That's the stuff of dreams, man.
Yeah.
The stuff of dreams. Paul Weller considered the mod father. How many like dads is that? That's their hero. You know what I mean? You brought up on the Weller sort of effect. You're sitting playing that like one of his main tunes that he's ever wrote on a car advert.
That song as well, it's one of them. It's just a proper timeless classic, innit?
You can listen to it.
And the lyrics, you know what I mean? It's like so beautiful. Them lyrics are like they're about nothing but observations of all this. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
There's something really genius about that song. It gets me every time I hear it.
You've done a cover of it, just yourself.
I did do a cover of it actually.
More recent. That,
yeah. But the have you heard the band version?
No, the version you're on about. No,
I can't remember the producer we worked with on that, but he got a great vocal sound for me. He found this microphone. Went through about 10 different microphones in the studio, and he found this mic, and he was like, "This is the one for you." I wish I could remember what it was. It did. And my vocals were really good on that. It's on YouTube. That's Entertainment. We also did a cover of the Zombies. Do you know, that time of the season? She's Not There.
Yeah.
Have you heard that one?
I've not heard you sing that. No.
Yeah. The two good covers. We was actually we was good at covers, but we never really recorded many.
Yeah.
We wish we had done now. You know?
I remember all your B-sides from back in the day, because when I first found out about you, I was just like, remember Pirate Bay and everything?
Who?
Pirate Bay. It was like you used to download all your tunes illegally.
Like Bear Share and all that.
Anybody used to put some sort of any tunes on that, you were able to get them. And, I've got this array of Twisted Wheel tunes, but I can't remember exactly what there was, but there was a few covers in it.
Yeah, we done. I mean, recorded. I only remember doing 2, but we will have done more. You know what I mean?
What 2 was it?
What tour?
Well, no, what 2 was it? The covers that you recorded?
The ones I can remember is That's Entertainment and She's Not There. But I think we've definitely done. I know we've done Day Tripper at some point. We did I Am the Walrus with Bonehead. That's on YouTube as well. And that was
You're quite good pals with Bonehead, there.
Bonehead's a great man, you know. It was when Bonehead was doing, what's that band called now? The Phonies and the Freaks. The Phonies and the Freaks. That was his band. Great, cool band actually. They supported us.
He turned up, he was in a band. Remember, was it Joe Carnell in the book club or something? It was the boys being Melbourne, and I'm sure the boy
guy
Cat
out
of
of
Monkeys that left was in that band and stuff.
Right.
They played someplace in Dunfermline, and Bonehead's band was playing as well.
Yeah.
That was like the first time I met him, but that was when
Was that the Phonies and the Freaks then?
I think it was.
Yeah.
Can't remember the name of the actual band.
Yeah, so obviously, like, Bonehead's back with Liam now, isn't he? So, no, I don't know whether that band's still going, but they supported us we did this mad gig in town called the Crack Sessions, because the venue was called the Crack Gallery, KRAAK. So we called this little tour where it was just like, I think it was 5 consecutive days, and then the manager who we had at the time had booked a girls only gig. It was around about that time when it was like, girls don't feel safe at gigs, and it's, now things have been put into place, haven't they, to try and, so there was a girls only gig, but it never happened, that gig. I think I just went off the rails before that gig happened, not on the day, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but we did the first night, we played the first album, the second album back to back. So that was like a hardcore fan gig, I like to hear the albums played as they were recorded. And then the second night was just an everyday wheel gig, nuts. And then the third one, Bonehead, the Phonies and the Freaks supported us. And then at the end of our gig, they come on stage and we did I Am the Walrus. My voice had gone by then completely, but it's just raucous. That's on YouTube.
I had to check it out, man, definitely.
And then we had these kids at the front with all like the lyrics of I Am the Walrus wrote on paper.
So you knew them?
No, no, I didn't have to. I don't know if, I think I'd learnt, I know the lyrics to that, but they was giving them out to the crowd.
Oh, right, so, yeah.
It was all on film, do you know what I mean? It was just mad. It's just nuts and raucous, man.
The lyrics in that tune are fucking mental.
Yeah.
Couture.
We've covered The Fall, Blindness. Yeah, so we've done some covers.
I'll just say, mate, just before we'll wrap up and all that, as a trainer podcast, we're probably best asking you what your 5 favourite trainers are.
My 5 favourite?
The 5 favourites, it could be any time in your life, anything like that, just like 5 models of whatever trainer that you would put in your top 5.
I am a massive fan of the SL80.
Brilliant shit.
It's not the normal kind of trainer that I'd go for, but when I put that on, I mean,
the super light, man.
You
That's
just,
a trainer.
Yeah, I remember when I put it on and it was like kind of like, this feels like something, I don't know, it got me that shoe, do you know what I mean? Now, I've been known to, I was telling my girlfriend about this today, and she was like, you must be excited talking about trainers. Obviously, we've not spoke about trainers
Yeah,
yet.
we've really spoke with trainers. That goes down to the fact that I'm a proper fan of you, mate. I've just been wanting to hear these stories.
Yeah,
I better get some trainer talk out you before we go.
No, that's cool, but so she's like, I bet you're excited about that, aren't you? Because I'm not an expert with trainers, right? I love me Adidas, and I've always wore them. You know what I mean? I'm not like a mad collector. Probably got about 30, 40 pairs. But Ash said to me, she said, I bet you're well excited about that. And then she reminded me of something that happened. Oh, that happens frequently, actually. But one instance was that we was having a mad argument. It was proper going off. And she says this happens quite a lot. I'm suddenly in my own world, staring at space, while she's screaming something that she thinks is really important, I need to hear. And then she'd say, John, you listening? And then I'd snap out of it and she's going, what are you thinking about? I'd go, sorry, I'm just thinking about my trainers. Do you know what I mean? I just start have these moments where I start daydreaming about trainers, and I fucking sometimes pick pairs up and just stare at them. I don't know what it is. Do you know what I mean?
Man, yeah, I get
so
it.
So
Totally
as
get
much
that.
as I'm not an expert on them,
You can appreciate that.
I appreciate them.
That's a 1993 made in China Gazelle. That is like the Britpop trainer, if you will.
I mean, I remember I've had loads of pairs of these. I don't anymore. I have got a few pairs of Gazelles, but not like...
They don't look like that, no.
No, don't look like this. Did you see the seam better made, don't they? Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. They're a bit harder materials than that nowadays. The shape on them, for them especially, like nowadays, are just like bumper cars.
Yeah.
That is the iconic Britpop shoe. You know what I mean? You had like even like you had Oasis in it. You had like people like Kate. What was in the went out with Pete Doherty again? I always forget her name. Kate Moss.
Kate Moss.
She had
yeah,
her own.
yeah.
She had her own Gazelle in like '95, I think it was.
Right. Yeah.
Jamiroquai. I mean, I'm like people like that all through the '90s. It was like that sort of look.
Yeah.
And I got lost.
You got lost.
I got lost big time. Like throughout, I don't know what the story is and why the shoes got bigger or whatever else, mass produced. But yeah, the shape and the sort of feel to it, I got lost, I would say.
Yeah. But back to my favourite trainers, so the SL80.
That's number one.
I'd have to put that in number one. I mean, I'll just give you my pair.
Yeah, just any like just 5 trainers. Not like
no, but I'm saying like that's got to be number one for me.
That's your number
because
one, yeah.
I've just worn them that many times. It's like they're my go-to trainer now, which kind of I've worn them out a little bit. After that, do you know what? I'm a massive fan of the Boomfield. You know what I mean?
Lovely shoe, yeah.
I mean, I know they're not like, mad collectibles.
They were taking off the AS700 with the shape, which was a classic vintage collectible shoe. It was brought out the Brimfield. Before that, it was for a guy who died, sadly, Mark Adderley or something. I can't exactly remember that. But yeah, it came out and there's been a few different versions. He was an Airdrie fan, I'm sure. And eventually it's came to the Brimfield where it's just like, it's came out of the range and it's like constantly getting released.
Yeah, yeah.
But the roots of that trainer is it's an indie trainer especially as well. It's a jean trainer. You know what I mean? It fits that look really well.
Yeah, yeah.
I
love the shape of it. I love the shape of him. And you know what? I don't know whether it's a recent thing, but I seem to go to like all one colour trainer now. Do you know what I mean? Or just only slight differences with the stripes. I've kind of had loads of pairs with different colour stripes on, and do you know what I mean? I kind of seem to go to. So I really like the black tobaccos that I've seen on your Instagram.
I'll sort you a pair of them one day.
If you ever find any, yeah.
That's it. We've got 3 there. We just need 2 more.
I'd have to say, you know what? Them Londons, the original pairs of Londons that I had in 2008.
Brilliant choice.
With the black tongue. They are up there. Do you know what? 5 has just got to be the twisted wheel.
The custom that I made for you?
Custom made.
I forgot even. I done that actually to mention it now.
Which was made out of a pair of that I'd worn
to death.
Well, no, I'd only worn them once, right?
Was that only once you wore them?
Once, but it was Kendall Calling, right? We had a gig at Kendall Calling. It was raining, but in my head, we're playing. I'll only be getting off the bus. You know what I mean? Walking down a bit of a path to a cabin, and then walking on the stage. So I'll wear them. And when we got there, it was waterlogged. There was no way of skirting around it. It was just like fuck it.
Step right on.
Yeah.
It's someone that means the world to me, man. I didn't expect you to say that. Yeah. But I forgot I'd done that shoe for you.
Yeah.
I just remember I was so proud to see that you were getting back out with Liam and shit. I was like, fucking give me those shoes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And and I like my gazelles, like you say, the quality of these far better than the pairs I've got. I've had more from more recent times. But I have got another pair that I forget the name of. But the new orders?
Yeah.
They're based on
they call them the Universal Supers, but the Wednesday. No, yeah, that was used to be called the Universal Super, but I'm sure the Special call it the Wensley Super. It was all white.
Yeah, yeah.
All white, and you got the lace jewels were all different colours and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's not them. No, got blue stripes on them. They kind of look like the new orders. I can't remember the name. But I also another pair that I wore to death. I was actually going to bring them, right? But they're at my house. Is a Mallison.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, I like the Mallison, which is a Broomfield
Yeah,
basically.
exactly the
innit?
same, just different name, yeah.
Yeah. So I've named me 5 trainers there, and
Heavy indie trainers as well. Fit the look, Johnny. I would. That's like the perfect answer, I would say. You know what I mean? That would be like the perfect answer, I would say, for that indie sort of look. That's like 5 banging trainers, man.
Yeah.
Goes what? You know what I mean? Cool coats with like sort of tighter jeans and those sort of.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But like the SL80, you know, that's I've always worn the pump kind of. Do you know what I mean? What would you call them? Like they're not trainers as in like, you know, they're not like running trainers, are they?
No,
I mean?
they're just, I'll call them flats, sweds.
Flats, yeah.
I always describe them as jean trainers. You know, someone that you
Jean
can wear with
trainers,
jeans.
yeah. So the SL80s were not the normal kind of trainers I'd wear, but once I put them on, I was like, yeah, man.
Yeah, digging that.
But they're beautiful as well.
Yeah, the Riviera.
Yeah.
Just before we go, yeah. 2016 Riviera, quality trainer. And again, that sort of look, you know what I mean? The flat sole, the suede look. Beautiful, like, this is what the indie look was all about. You know what I mean? It was. This is how I got into like the trainers. This was the sort of trainers that I got into and always say that got me into it. And it always came from the music influence. I was like looking at guys like yourself, you know what I mean? Like the front man of a band is like, it's the standpoint, the front man. You know what I mean? Everybody knows what the fucking front man is. And that's who you would look at and you would see what these guys were wearing, the coats, like yourself said before, smocks, coats, London trainers, the jeans. And that's where it started for me. So that's how it's been like, it's been fucking epic, mate, to get you down and have a blare with you about all this stuff. Because it's history in my eyes, you know what I mean?
Been a pleasure, man.
Yeah, it's been brilliant, mate. I honestly said, some of the stories I've heard, I can't believe it myself. I can't believe that I got to like sit and pick your brain. I would like to say I've been a fan of you since I first seen you on that View tour about 2008. Blew my head off. Like I said to you earlier on, the only album I've ever pre-ordered in my life. Ever. Ever. But yeah, is there anything else you want to say?
I just want to say thank you for the time, you know what I mean? It's been nice to talk to us. And yeah, like I say, the band's not over with, but you know, check out my new thing. Gotta be, and I'll give myself a plug here. Do you know what I mean?
Jonny Brown Limited. There.
Jonny Brown Limited, or Jonny Brown LTD. So there's one song out, got another one coming early next year, and then an EP. And we've got a gig in Manchester, sold out. That's our first showcase gig on the 2nd of December. But obviously that's sold out. But next year we will be doing some touring as that outfit. So keep you posted on that. But yeah, nice one for having us.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, when you come to Dundee, I'll bring the shit away, man. Promise. But mate, like I say, it's been a pleasure. I want to say thank you for, especially that first album, like I said to you earlier on, that changed my life. I love that fucking album. I still listen to it at least once a month now. And it means the same to us as it does now as it does back then. So thank you for that. Johnny, thanks for coming down and speaking to us. Jason, thanks for recording always. This has been the Dundee Show podcast. Good night.